Hello friends! It has been 2 months since my last big adventure happened, and a little less than that since I released the book of photography from the trip. As I'm working towards choosing a location and planning out my next big adventure, I was remembering this. And if you've been a member for a while, you may be familiar with my very first adventure book, Yellowstone 2017. If you're new to my site, or if you're one of my super new YouTube channel members, you may not be familiar with this book. So today I want to talk about this, what the trip itself meant to me, and how the book came together. And also how you can receive a copy of the complete 62-page book, either as an ebook or as a hand-signed hard copy. Oh, and how to get the behind-the-scenes footage from the trip too. And then last, my thoughts on where I might head next. But first, some background. A couple of years ago, I decided to dedicate a portion of my working time to longer form adventures with a specific goal, a complete book, to capture the experiences and the essence of the trip. And I've brought you all on many, many day trips over my years as SnapChick, some overnight trips too, but never a week-long experience at some fantastic locations. So with this first book, I changed that, and I brought you along on an extended trip where I was hyper-focused on a particular location. In the case of this first book, Yellowstone National Park. So Yellowstone is a massive, dramatic landscape with amazing topography, geography, and wildlife. So much wildlife. There are hot springs and geysers and epic forests and plains with lots of wild places, and also so many areas with stores and visitor centers, but it all sort of fits together like a jigsaw puzzle. No matter where you are, you always need to be careful because you never know what might be around that next corner. In my case, it was a bear. I would never ever approach wildlife, especially not a massive bear, but in this case, I was hiking along with a small group back from a popular geyser, and there he was, right there on the path. It was really hard not to run away, but I remembered what the park ranger had told me the day prior. Stand my ground, talk to the bear, and have my bear spray ready in case, you know, shit got real in a hurry. I was able to snap some shots, and thank goodness for vibration reduction because I was shaking in my boots. I talked to Mr. Bear, and then I watched him become bored with me, and I could not believe this. He just walked right into a nearby stream and swam around for a while. I take my animals and my nature pretty seriously, meaning that I want them to do their thing and I want to stay out of the way. And I had not realized this, but watching a bear be a bear and do his bear things, you know, while I stayed away was really emotional for me. And, you know, not in a bad way, but when it was all over and I was hiking back to my car, I was alternating between tears and laughter. And then I was exhausted, but I did make time to stop back at the visitor center, and I found the ranger that had the bear advice for me, and I thanked him and I showed him the photos. The trip wasn't just about the bear though. That was definitely a big moment for me personally, but there was a lot more, like all of these guys, and even others that I couldn't photograph, like a fox that was caught in our headlights on the side of the road one night while we were driving back to the hotel, or a group of coyotes or wolves, I'm not sure which, but I heard them howling in the distance one morning. When it was all said and done, it was an epic trip. I saw everything that I hoped for, except for maybe I wanted to get a picture of a moose and I didn't. But I did have galleries of images that I had not thought possible until I fully immersed myself in this trip. This trip was different because it wasn't a vacation like I had taken before. I'd taken vacations with my camera and taken lots of photos, but this trip was a working trip. It was to create a book that would immerse the viewer in the most beautiful and unreal places within the park. Now, the way it works with my books is that members help me to fund the adventures, and then they receive the books in return. In fact, the easiest way to get my Yellowstone book is to be a member of my channel. You do that by clicking the join button below or the link in the description of this video. You will then receive a code to download the book from snapchick.com for no additional cost. For you channel members, the code will be in the community section. And along with that code, you will find links to all of the behind the scenes content that I gathered during the trip. It is almost an hour and a half long, and it tells the entire story of the trip from arrival to getting to these great locations, snapping my camera, and it's where I tell the stories of the trip, like the bear encounter, as they happen. If you think that you would want this book in print, like this one, there is a way to get a signed copy in your hands. Also, my Grand Canyon patrons on Patreon receive copies of my books personally signed by me. There's more info on that at the Patreon link in the description of this video. In the coming weeks, I will be talking more about my other recent adventures and releasing more book codes and behind the scenes videos to my members as well. As you all know, I love to share. And after this first bookmaking adventure to Yellowstone and the support that I received from many of you, I knew that more would be in the works. And now, several adventures and books later, with definitely an evolving style for my books and the behind the scenes videos, I am indeed planning my next trip. There will be an announcement on that very soon, but I first have to nail down where exactly I want to go. I'm thinking something different than I've done before. I've done national parks, I've done the beach, I've done a bunch of different desert places, and I do have a few ideas for some kind of different type of places, but I'm always open to your suggestions. So let me know down in the comments below if you have an idea of where you think would be a good place for me to visit and then to pay tribute to in a book. And that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching.